Happy Saturday, everybody. I'm KHOU 11 meteorologist Pat Cavlin here on KHOU 11 Plus with a deep dive on a big storm that's headed our way as we get into the start of the upcoming week. But there's a lot more to this storm than just rain, snow, and ice. We've also got some bitterly cold air that'll be with us for several days, and that arrives tonight. We are watching this storm. This comes in Monday night, sticks around all the way through Tuesday, and snow accumulations are likely. So we do have a weather impact alert in effect. This is going to be for Monday into Tuesday. And again, it's for heavy snow, sleet, and ice. We're expecting this storm to begin sometime around 6 p.m. Monday, continues and ramps up Monday night all the way getting into Tuesday, and then eventually wraps up by Tuesday evening. The impacts from this are going to be profound. We're talking about impossible travel, both by road and by air. This is going to have big ripple effects on air travel, and we could also see power outages and, unfortunately, the potential for pipes bursting as temperatures drop Tuesday night getting into Wednesday. Forecast confidence looks like this. There's going to be a hard freeze. There's going to be a winter storm. High confidence on both. The exact precipitation type that we see from the storm is also beginning to come into focus, so we are fairly confident that we see snow and sleet across the area. Ice accumulation still kind of a toss-up, although that is starting to creep up as well. It's not going to be for everyone, but we will see some ice accumulations, especially south of the city. So we know there's going to be a winter storm watch in effect for all of southeast Texas. We're going to start first with the longer range, low resolution American and European models, just to give you an idea of what the lay of the land is here for Tuesday. Here's a snapshot. This is the American GFS model. Blue is snow, pink is ice, green is rain. European model shows pretty much the exact same thing. So the models are within good agreement of each other, which means forecast confidence can start to increase a bit. So now we flip over to our higher resolution forecast model to see if this lines up with those other two. So we stop the clock here Monday evening. Notice snow falling to the north again in the blue. We see some mixing occurring across the city. Now, pinpointing exactly where that rain and snow and ice line sets up is going to be the big challenge, because remember, water temperatures are still in the 50s. So we're going to be battling against that to get some cold enough air in that places like the city, places like Galveston, places like Wharton get snow from this event. I think north of I-10, it's a slam dunk. You're getting snow. It's a matter of how much. For the city and areas south, it's a little more of a muddled forecast. I do think you get snow, but exactly how much will depend on how much mixing occurs with sleet, ice pellets, and freezing rain. But 6 a.m. we're going strong here. The darker blue indicates the heavier snow. This will continue through Tuesday morning and even into the middle part of the day. I think everybody will definitely end as snow, at least for an hour or two. And I think by Tuesday afternoon, all of this moves off to the east. So let's talk about how we get sleet and freezing rain and snow and what the difference is between all of them. It has to do with the temperatures in the atmosphere. So when everything's below freezing from the ground up, it's just snow, right? It's just snow crystals. What happens is when you start to get areas above ground that are above freezing, that's when things get a little wonky. So the snow falls into that area that's above freezing, it melts into water. And then if it drops into a deep enough layer of cold air, it'll refreeze into an ice pellet. That's sleet. If that cold layer underneath where it's below, where it's above freezing, is too shallow, then what happens is those snowflakes melt. That's just rain now. And it doesn't have time to refreeze before it hits the ground. So it's still falling through the air as rain, but the second it hits the ground, it freezes on contact. That's freezing rain. That's the worst case scenario, nightmare scenario, because with freezing rain, with ice that accumulates on objects, that's when power outages start to become a concern. The good news with this story is that it looks like ice accumulations will be fairly small. Generally, you need ice accumulations over 1/4 to 1/2 of an inch to do any substantial damage to tree limbs, to tree branches, to power lines. And we don't see that across the area. So a light accumulation is possible, which will leave a glaze on the roads, which will make travel impossible. But this is not power line destructive type ice numbers that we saw back in 2021. Let's talk snow now. We're going to start with our high resolution model. Now this model output's going to change every few hours. Take this with a grain of salt. The general idea is that higher totals will be farther north and farther east. Now, it's very possible to have that 3-inch band come farther south. This is just what things look like right now. Speaking of that, we flip over to the American model, that lower resolution model. Same idea. It takes that heavier band, takes it out to the east, but this one pulls it a little farther south, so Houston gets a bigger number. Same thing with the European model. Bigger number, but an idea that we're going to have this strip somewhere across southeast Texas, whether it's Houston or Conroe or maybe south of Houston or up towards Huntsville, that gets a jackpot of several inches of snow. We don't know where that's going to be yet, but we know it's going to happen at some point during this storm. So we take all of this information and we make our own forecast, and this is what we've got right now. This is the first call snowfall forecast for southeast Texas, talking about areas down to the coast, coastal Brazoria, Matagorda, down towards Galveston County, up to an inch of snow. Once you go farther north, up I-45 into Harris County, now we're in the 1 to 2 inch snow range. Every time you get closer to these new contours, you're getting to this number, right? So here's 1 to 2 inches. Once you get close to the darker blue, now we're in that 2-inch range. And then as you get up here, now we're in that 4-inch range, and now we're getting over 4. So I think areas northern Harris County, still 2 inches, maybe 3 inches in a few spots, talking 2 to 4 through Montgomery, up into the Huntsville area, and then Polk San Jacinto could see around 4 inches of snow. Same for Liberty County. I think these will be the big jackpot areas in terms of who sees the most. Areas to the west, generally 1 to 2 inches. The totals will drop off though. Really just depends on where the edge of this storm system sets up. I think the general idea is the farther east you go, the higher your snow totals are going to be, especially if you're going farther north. Places like Jasper are going to see some big snow totals, and that'll be the case getting into Louisiana as well. Now, the snow is just one part of this storm and one part of the story. The other part is temperatures. Look at the numbers getting into tomorrow morning. These are actual air temperatures. 29 Huntsville, 31 Houston, 35 Galveston. For the afternoon, some of us will stay in the 30s. Most of us, though, recover into the low mid 40s, but it's a windy day, so it feels much, much worse. Getting into Monday morning, everyone, for the most part, away from the water is in the 20s. Coastal spots stay in the 30s. Monday afternoon, mid to upper 30s across the board. So that cold air really starts to set in before that storm gets here. So it sets the stage for some wintry weather. And then getting into Tuesday morning, everyone's in the 20s to around 30 degrees. Now, tomorrow is the Chevron Houston Marathon. This is going to be brutal. Coldest marathon, I think, in over 20 years. We'll see temperatures at the start 30 degrees. By 10 a.m., not much better, mid-30s, but it's the wind that is going to cut right through you, gusting into 25 miles per hour. It's going to feel like 18 to 28 degrees across the whole area. This is like nails on a chalkboard when you see these kinds of colors on the map. Feeling like 21 degrees at the start of the race for tomorrow. So overnight, it's blustery, it's cold, but it's clear. 30 in the Heights, 29 Aldine, 30 for Acres Homes and Copperfield, 31 for Allendale and Pasadena, 30 for West Chase, 29 for Addicks, 28 Cypress, 27 Tomball, near freezing out towards LaPorte and Baytown, 30 for downtown, and as we widen the shot, we could see mid and upper 20s farther north, mid 30s for Galveston, 31 for League City, 28 Bay City. Getting into tomorrow, guess what? It's still cold and blustery, but it's sunny. 43 in the Heights and Aldine, 43 for Copperfield, 46 Gulf Crest, 43 for Atascocita, 41 for Tomball, 45 Alameda. We'll do 44 for Galveston, 41 for Huntsville and Conroe, and 43 in Columbus. Okay, here's the 7-day forecast. So it's cold and blustery for tomorrow. Monday, we are dry for most of the day, but by the evening, that is when rain and snow starts to come into the area. I would say sometime after sunset. I would just plan on not being anywhere but home after 6 p.m. Monday, and plan on staying home for quite some time because, again, snow, winter weather ramps up as we go through the overnight. Weather impact alert in effect Monday night into Tuesday. This is for the rain, this is for the sleet, the ice, and the snow. Then the weather impact alert for Wednesday. This is not because we're expecting any snow. This is because temperatures will drop. We're down to 14 degrees Wednesday morning, and we only make it to the mid-30s by the afternoon. And then after that, we could see another potential deep freeze, 18 possible by Thursday morning before we finally start to trend in the right direction Thursday and Friday with highs in the 50s and 60s. But a lot of dangerous winter weather on the way for the start of the week. Stay on top of this forecast and check back often for the latest snowfall forecast and the latest information.